Hello everyone and welcome to today's edition of my my YouTube channel. I still have this cough. It's been weeks now. I'm gonna kind of change it up a little bit. Instead of covering my whole watch list, I've been, before I was just trading off the candle signals, hammers, engulfings, this and that. But I started going back and looking, and when I ran my paper trade account from 2,000 to 7,000 in 2 months, I wasn't trading those. And I had been having mixed success lately, so I went back to trading some of the patterns that I traded before. And to cover my whole watch list would make this a fairly long video, and I don't really think we need to do that because it's going to be pretty similar for for any chart as far as what I'm looking for. But let's start out by looking at SPY. We opened up here at the high of the day. Actually, it was pre-market, but open at pre-market highs at least, and had a sell-off pretty quickly. And I wasn't watching this the open. I didn't trade yesterday. I wasn't even at a computer yesterday. I was out all day, so that's why there was no video yesterday. But this isn't quite a hammer candle. I don't know why TOS didn't flag it as a hammer. I'm guessing because maybe the wick was just a little bit too long. But nonetheless, that's a nice candle. Problem is there was no support below it. But that would have been a good buy. And here's a Maribozu. Here's another Maribozu. But this would have been a pretty good buy right here. You got some resistance here, but that would have been a nice pickup. Another one here, this would have been a better one, I think. We came down and tested this support level, and this support level, and I kind of started adding more support lines too. This support level was pretty much yesterday's low. I don't know if it goes back to any other ones. I started creating my own lines, and here's kind of what I'm doing. I start out with a daily chart, and I look in this area that we're trading in, and not really seeing a whole lot. There's a little bit right here, which was actually pretty close to that trend line, 288.91, and I think I had it marked. I think I had it marked at 289.01 or something like that. But so that was actually this high right here, 288.84. But I had that marked. Maybe it was this one. Yeah, I think it was low from this one, 289.08. So I kind of put it in between these because there was some support resistance right in that range. So I kind of put it in between, and I marked that. And the way I do it is, for starters, the first time you do it, and it makes it easier doing this, go to drawing tools and pick your price level, and then I have it set up so I can just double click it and it will automatically extend it left and put the price on it. But what you do is you come into edit properties. So when you first create your line, it's only going to come out to about here, and it won't have any markings on it. So you go to edit properties, show price on the left extension on, and then hit save as default. That way in the future, let me get rid of this before I forget it. When you do price lines later on, you just double click at the range you want, and it automatically puts that information in there. So that makes it a little bit easier. So I start out, I look at the daily chart, then I come in, I look at the hourly chart, and I see if there's anything that stands out for support and resistance. I see one pretty close to here. It's actually this low here. We kind of tested it here, and it was resistance here. So I think that's a pretty good support level if we got down that far today. Here's another one. This is actually the one I had marked, the one that I was just pointing out on the 5-minute chart. This was a pretty good resistance level. We got close to it here and here, here, and we came down and tested it here and here. So this was a pretty strong level, 289. And if you remember, when we were right around 289, we had trouble breaking through that anyway. So which was the reason why. So that would be a pretty strong support level or resistance if we get back below it. Up here we had a high here, so I marked this one as a resistance level. You don't have to mark all of them, you just pick some, but you see that we had it right here. I marked it. That was actually, I marked it because of the pre-market high here, but it's also pretty close to this one. This one here we had here, we tested it here, so I put one there. And then I go back to the 5 minute and I look and see what we have on the 5 minute, if we have anything that stands out. And obviously you mark the pre-market high, which was this. You mark, and if you look here, there's not really, there's some resistance in here, but it's more the fact that we consolidated right around that range. We just hung in that range, which shows it's a pretty good level that the market likes trading at. So I put trend line, or I put price lines on there for my support and resistance. So we came down at the open, bounced up a little bit, and then we come down and we came right to one of those lines that I put in, and this green line is actually yesterday's low. So it pretty much coincides with the one I put on there. It just happens that the one I put on was just slightly higher, just by a couple cents. But you see here we had some consolidation in that area in pre-market. So we had a nice spinning top candle right off of that. And we also had the 100 simple moving average that we closed above on that candle. So this would have been a good entry here. Sure, we had some resistance here and here. This line here is the VWAP. Actually, this is the RSI reverse engineer. This one here is the VWAP. But this one would have been a good entry. So let's take a look at a few charts. I have somebody calling me on my other computer, but we'll be alright. We'll finish this up. Let's take a look, just for instance, Netflix. Netflix, I've been trading these off a 3-minute chart. So we have 3-minute chart. We came in, open, popped up a little bit, then dropped. Had a nice bullish engulfing candle here. I didn't make any real money trades today. I did make 2 paper trades. But you see here we kind of had we had a few different places. Let me see what I traded today. Let me go to my other computer, because I paper traded them. The market was kind of choppy today. I wasn't really looking to risk any of my own money today, and I've things are a little hectic here in the office. So I got in just before 1 o'clock, and it wasn't the greatest entry. I got in just before, actually this one was the better entry, and that Tesla's the one that wasn't great. I got in just before 1 o'clock, so about 12:56 is when I got in. So I got in just at the close of this candle, and the reason why was because we had, if you look here, we had kind of a double top going on here, and I was looking for a break above this. I like when we have a resistance level with a moving average coming up and pinching. It pretty much forms an ascending triangle or a bull flag, whatever you want to call it, but it also, this moving average kind of forces the price, usually will force the price above that resistance level. So we had sort of a double top, triple top in this area, and then we broke above it, and I got in at what did I say it was, 12:56. So I didn't jump in right away right here because I didn't know if it would hold it. But after this candle here, I jumped in. This candle would have closed at 12:57. So right towards the end of this candle, I went ahead and jumped in. I got out at 12. Actually, it was 1:59. So I got out quite a bit later. I paid $4.80. I got out way over here. Just before the close of this candle, I got out. I paid $4.80. I sold it for $5.50. It was one contract, so $70 profit. Probably about a 16-17%. I can tell you exactly what it was here. 70. My entry was 480. I made 70. My entry is 480. 14.5%. So that's good. Anything, any profit's good, but anything over 10 is really good, as far as I'm concerned. So I sold at 156. I sold pretty close to the high of the day so far. I mean, it may pop higher later, but I was pretty close to the high of the day. I didn't really have a real reason for selling at that area. I just knew it was getting kind of top heavy. I saw the stochastic starting to come down a little bit, and I was happy with the profit I had, so I took it. Tesla was another one I traded. This one wasn't that great of a trade, but it worked out for me in the end. It wasn't a real good entry. I got in at 949, so would have been I actually got in just about up to this point, which would have been the high of day. So right after this candle opened, I got in, and then it pulled back, and I stayed in, and it was actually tomorrow's expiration, technically today's, because the market's closed tomorrow. I paid 220, and I think when it was down here, it was only worth like 70 cents. So I was down. It was only one contract, but I was down $150. It was a paper trade, so but it came down. It kind of held this moving average, and then it popped back up, and I sold it at 1229, which would have been pretty close to high of day again. Sold it at 1229, which would have been just after this candle. I think I actually sold it right when it got to here. It was somewhere in between here, obviously, if I sold it on this candle. But we got to yesterday's high, and we broke above a pivot point here. So I sold it here for 265. I paid 220. So we have 45 divided by 220, a little over 20%. Yeah, 20.4% profit. I don't like trading Tesla because of the if it starts to go against you, the spread gets pretty big pretty quick, and if you have to sell at market, you're going to lose probably 20% minimum. So that's one reason why I try to avoid Tesla, but this was a paper trade. Those are the paper trades I made today. I made two paper trades, one contract on each, made $70 on the one and $45 on the other. It's up $115 in the paper trade account today. It's only a $5,000 paper trade account, so that's pretty good for one day, $115. Those are the only trades I made. Let's take a look at Apple. What I've been playing has been bear flags. We haven't, there's just a lot of chop in here. This is hard to trade with all this chop. When you have real big candles with long tails and wicks, it's hard to trade. That's why when I saw that this morning, I thought, I'm not even going to put my own money into this, because it's not worth it. I'm green on the week. I'm not going to risk losing money today and ended up being red on the weekend. All weekend thinking, well, wish I wouldn't have done that. So, I'll just sit back and watch today and paper trade and make a video on it. But I really don't see any real good patterns here. We had a bearish engulfing here, but I'm looking for like the flag patterns, because I've talked about the engulfing patterns, candlestick patterns. I'm going back to trading some of the other stuff that I've traded before. There's just a lot of whipsawing in here. Let's take a look at what's another one. Let's see what Boeing did. I haven't even looked at this chart today. I really don't like trading Boeing. Still a lot of whipsawing. I mean, yeah, you could make money if you got in at the right time and out at the right time, but when you're whipsawing like this, it's kind of hard. Not any real good patterns showing. We had a bull flag here. change my drawing here so I can. We kind of had a bull flag from these two tops here up to here. So we would broke out here. My target would have been this pivot point. So yeah, we had, that we had a bull flag here, which would have been a good trade. And you saw right here, a little bit of volume. Volume started increasing right about that point. So this would have been a good one here. But you got to kind of pick these out. And like I said about, just go up here. When you show, I have it set for these candlesticks, but whatever they want to call it, well, ascending triangle, it's not going to be a pennant, but I'll put it in there anyway. Rising wedge, triangle. So I've put all of them in there that thinkorswim could have possibly thought it would have been, and it still doesn't show up. In fact, if you go back, I don't think it'll show any of them anywhere. It won't show those patterns anywhere. The only time I've ever seen it show those on the daily. Now you see all these here. That's what this is. It's showing you all these patterns. And I don't really trade off the daily chart per se. I mean, I look at the daily chart, but I just look at it to see at the end of the day to see what kind of patterns I can see and get an idea of what I might see the next morning, or what the next day might bring. But I don't really use the daily chart in any other sense than that. So I don't need those on here, and all it does is clutter it up when I do look at the daily chart. So I've never seen it show these on the 5 minute. But again, we could extend this out. Extend it out. You could even go back to here, probably call that part of it too. But you see the tops we made along here, and then the rising trend line here created a bull flag, and it broke out right here. So that's the kind of stuff I've been trading. Just get these off of here. That's kind of what I've been looking for, though. Let's go back to Apple, see if we can find anything in Apple. I guess you could call this one right here. We draw a line from here to here, and then a trend line from here, and these are sloppy trend lines. So we're getting right to that point here where it's all coiled up. So it's going to break out one way or the other. Usually this is an ascending wedge, ascending triangle, bull flag, whatever you want to call it. They are generally bullish. So a lot of times this will pop to the upside. Sometimes they will pop to the downside, but usually they'll pop to the upside. And there's a way to get a measured move on these. This isn't a real good one to get a measured move. Let's pull these lines off. You know what, let's leave the lines on because we'll go back and look at it again. Let's look at the BA chart again. When you do a measured move, let's draw this line again from here to here, and forget this tail here, that's a lot of noise. Come up and draw this. We had 3 points, 4 points actually to touch that line, so that'd be a pretty good line. So when you have a measured move like this, let's call it right here was the beginning of the bull flag. We went from 380.96 and the bottom of it is 379.58. So let's call that $1.40. You should end up with $1.40 break to the upside from here. So 380.96 be 381, should be 382.50ish ballpark should be your target. What you do is you take the distance from here to here, actually from here to here. You take this distance and that should be the distance you should expect it to pop to the upside. I don't take the full. I usually do like maybe 80% of that. So let's say it's $1.50, $1.50 rise from here to here. $1.50 at about 80% would be about 270. So 270 plus, it started out at about, let's call it 386 or 379.60. I would probably put a sell target at about 382.30ish. We almost reached it here. We got the 382.18. So we almost got to that, and we're still not done. It still might pop up. But that's how you get a measured move target. And if you do a search, do a Google search for measured move price targets, you can see different, there's different diagrams and stuff out there. And if you're aggressive, you can go the full 100% of this move. You want to be conservative, you could take 75%, 80%, 90%, whatever you want. The other problem is we do have this pivot point here, which is where we kind of held up at. We'll have to see if we break above that pivot point and hit that target of 382.30. In fact, I'm going to put a line up here right about the 382.30. I just somehow zoomed out. We'll put a line about the 382.30 mark. Let's see if we break that. But that would have been about my target for 80% of this move here. So let's keep an eye on that. Obviously, it won't be on the recording because I'm not going to sit here the rest of the day watching it while I'm recording. But something, when you view this video, you can go back and look and see if it did break that. But yeah, do a search for measured move targets, and that'll show you. I don't usually wait to get my full target. If I was trading this, if I would have traded this, I would have sold out. At least most of my position would have been gone right here, right before this pivot. I could have, I might have held one contract to try for the price target up here, but I'm too conservative. I'd rather take my profits when I have them. We may have came up here and came down, and who knows what could have happened. Bad news could have come out. Anything could have happened, and this could have pulled all the way back here, and I could have had a loss. So I would have sold most of my position right here. If I only had one contract, I would have been all out. If I had 5 contracts, I would have sold at least 3. Probably even 4, because it's not a big, this isn't a big difference here. I'm probably only going to gain maybe another 5 to 10%, probably 5% from here to here. So let's say I have 20% profit here. I only get 25 if I hold it to here. It's not worth it for me to hold 40% of my position for an extra 5%. I'd probably sell all but one contract and hold it to there. If for no other reason, just so because if I sell all of it here, I'm going to turn this chart off and go to another chart, and I won't come back and look at it, and I'll forget about it, and I'll never know if it did hit that target. If I hold on to one, then I'll still pay attention to it. Now if I have 3 or 4 different positions on, I'm going to get out of all of them here, so I don't have to manage so many positions. But I don't get into that many at a time. I generally am in one position at a time, and that's all. I rarely have more than one going on at a time. So, but that's what I would have done there. Be interesting to see if it does come up to that target. Let's go back to Apple and see what we ended up doing here. And it looks like we might break out to the upside here. And like I said, when you have a bull chant or a bull wedge, ascending triangle, whatever you want to call it, they'll generally pop to the upside. Now right now, what we need to do is worry about getting over this high of day, 204.05. We break that high of day. Who knows where it could go. I'm not really seeing any more. I don't have I don't have the support and resistance lines drawn on this chart, but if you just look at the measured move target on this one, you could say that it started maybe about here. And some people will tell you it has to start here where the top of the candle was, but you know, we don't have, I guess if you extended this all the way down, it would kind of meet this line, but there's no way that I would expect 202.50 to 203.90. That's $1.40. So I guess 205.30 would be the measured move target if you took it from here. But that's pretty aggressive. I would probably go more from here, right about this level, because that's where my trend line started. I used, you know, we had all these points here that kind of touch it, and this isn't a perfect trend line either. That's another reason why I take 80%, 75%. So I'm not, you know, because if my line's off just a little bit, I don't want to miss selling out by a penny because my trend line was wrong. So I just be more conservative with it. But so let's see, here was 203.10, and the top, we'll call it 203.90, so we'll call it an 80 cent. So 204.70. But if you take 80 cents and you take 80% of that, is $1.44, and my line started at about 203.10. My target would be about 204.50. So my target on this move here would be 204.50 if we break above this high of day here. Sure, we broke out of the triangle, but we still have a high of day to worry about here. So, and this, again, this would be called a measure move target, measure move price target. I've used these in the past, and I think I've only followed them strictly maybe a handful of times, but every time I have, they have worked. Like I said, I'm usually more conservative and don't hold it that long. But I'm going to end this video because I have another call coming in, and but check this video out, and you know, I'll try to do more of this on my videos rather than just the candles. So, all right, thanks, and see you tomorrow. Bye.